Behold, a manly game for manly men, doing manly things like flower arranging and baking cookies and doing each other's makeup. It is truly a manly experience for only the manliest of alpha males. Volgarr the Viking is the latest game I'm currently obsessed with because it gives me some serious Dark Souls vibes. My obsession with Dark Souls is well documented and generally scary to most normal people, and this is, even compared to other games in the same Souls loose franchise, this might be the first game that I've been just so hooked on in terms of like a satisfying challenge. As you may have noticed, it's a 2D platformer majig. It bears some superficial resemblance to stuff like Golden Axe, but what makes it interesting is that it's really hard. It's really hard, but very rarely just kind of obnoxious hard. It's just like, hey, if you die, it's because you suck. Get better. You better get good, is what you better do. I've currently reached level 4. That took me about 20 hours. To be fair, part of that was me kind of hot swapping with a friend who wasn't as good as me, although having said that, he actually beat the third boss before I did. But whatever, I've reached level 4. This is the first level. It's quite easy compared to the later ones. But you will notice the level design is very, very good. I like how it's basically, it has a similar sort of Dark Souls structure. It's like, here's a level you have to get through without dying, and then at the end there's a boss. There is one checkpoint per world, so you get halfway through, then there's a checkpoint you can continue from, but you have, after you reach that checkpoint, you have to go the whole way through that next level in order to get to the boss. You can't just, if you die at the boss, you can't just immediately go back and have another shot at the boss. You have to go through a 5-minute level in order to get to the boss. Although I say 5 minutes, it depends how much you take your time, of course. If you're pro, like me, you will just fly through. I'm so pro. I always try and avoid, in these sorts of videos, being like, yeah, I'm so amazing, look how pro and elite and MLG I am at video games. Because there's always going to be someone who comes along and says, yeah, well, I beat it in 17.3 nanoseconds. What do you think of that? And then I'll be like, my penis feels inadequate now. But, yeah, you may have noticed, Volgarr has some awesome abilities. This is definitely the sort of game which is easy to pick up but hard to master, because, like, he's got a sword, he can crouch, he can jump, he can double jump, he's got spears, and crucially, the spears stick into walls and even certain enemies. You can actually stick spears in them and jump on them. I like how the platforming and the combat kind of blend together. There isn't this, like, it's not like Half-Life where you'll be having fun running around shooting people and then it's like, time for a platforming section, and just suddenly the entire game just takes a nosedive in quality. Oh. But, it's a bit twitchier than something like Dark Souls. I'm going to endlessly compare it to Dark Souls just because Dark Souls is pretty much my jam. I think it's harder than Dark Souls, honestly, because the thing about Dark Souls... How many times can I say Dark Souls in this video? It's a new drinking game. The thing about Dark Souls is that you can use stats as a crutch in Dark Souls. It is ostensibly an RPG in the very traditional sense. Oh, I forgot about that spider. You know, Dark Souls can be made significantly easier by grinding. It's like, damn, this boss is really hard. I know. I'll get a bunch of souls, upgrade my armor, upgrade my attributes. Just, you know, getting your HP. I can't remember. Is it vitality that gives you HP? Get your vitality to 30, and that is a significant amount of HP you now have in Dark Souls. Whereas Volgarr, it's all just, you know, there is no stats. There's no passive way to just make the game easier without increasing in skill yourself, you know. It reminds me, just because I'm so hardcore, as we've established, I once played Arkham City on the hard mode with a self-inflicted handicap that said I couldn't upgrade my health beyond the default, and that actually made the game a lot more exciting for someone who was getting good at the Arkham combat, because it meant I actually had to block and dodge things a lot more, whereas usually I could just tank quite a bit of damage. It also just felt like more of a kind of Batman experience. You know, I always imagined Batman as being someone who can like just dodge shit rather than being like, oh, you punched me in the face. But I don't care. Have I actually not died yet? That guy there is usually where I cock up this level, because I'm like, yeah, I'm at the end of the level, and then I just jump and forget he's there, and he pushes me into the instant death pit. Yes, we've beaten the first level. This is the first half of World 1. You might have noticed, by the way, that there's a charge shot you can unlock for the spear, which just sends people flying to walls. When I say unlock, there is no like unlocking. There are power-ups. Have you ever played Maximo or Ghosts and Goblins? It's like that. You know, you pick up armor in order to increase your health, your hit points. But in this, you also get a shield and a flaming sword and a chargeable. So you always have a spear, but you get the charge shot spear by having a certain amount of health. Which is quite an interesting thing, I think, to actually tie health into your abilities. And it does mean there's the occasional situation where you're like, oh shit, I lost my chargey spear, or I lost my shield. This is going to make this section a lot harder. For instance, this bit, if you didn't have a shield here, getting past its arrows would take a bit more precise timing. But interestingly, the positioning of your shield actually is not. It's not like I have my shield in front of me, therefore I can't take frontal damage. Even if you crouch down holding your shield, your head is exposed. You can take damage from the head and I think possibly his little feet. And that same rule applies. There's a later bit in the game with a bunch of zombies, and there's like the zombies, if you stab them in the legs, they actually have a sword in their chest which will fall out and hit and stab you. But if you stab their torso, it just explodes, and that way you can kill them safely. But then in the same level, there's skeletons who have shields, and you want to attack their legs because their torsos are shielded. So it's this really interesting kind of horde mode where you're constantly switching which angle of attack you're doing. So it's very satisfying, you know. There's nothing in Volgarr that hasn't been done before somewhere, but it's just very polished, very wonderfully smooth, and it's all about learning the timing of the attacks. Yeah, again, this is why I say it's more like Dark Souls than anything else, because it's not about like, hack, 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 you know. Every attack leaves you open for a fraction of a second. There's a secret here, by the way. Yeah. Every attack leaves you open. And especially in the later levels, you really need to be well timed with your rolls and things. Oh goddamn, some of the bosses you have to just roll at the exact nano instant. Incidentally, you may notice I've got the wooden shield, which is basically just a crappier version of the metal shield, unsurprisingly. The metal shield can take infinite number of hits until you take damage and lose it. But the wooden shield, I think, can only take 2 hits, so it's actually quite worthless. It's better than nothing, but only just. I like the enemy design. The enemies feel different. Like the lizard, these like lizard guys feel different to the like kind of toad monsters you meet later. The toad monsters hopper all over the place. There's these plants which are just bastards. These plants basically turn the game into like a bullet hell shooter. Oh god, oh god. And then these clams in another level, which you can only destroy them when they're open, but as soon as they open, they fire a shot. So it's about like dodging the. Oh shit! Oh, that's okay. I had my power up. Ooh, I'm not too far from the boss now. Ooh. You see these bloody plants? I hate these bloody plants. One of my favourite things is how you stick spears into walls in order to create platforms. That's just such an amazing little mechanic. And they throughout the whole game so far, they seem to be finding new ways to make it interesting. That, you know, like, ooh, ho ho, nearly forgot about you, sucker. Ooh, ooh. Aha! I was worried he'd hit me in the arse there. Question is, okay, I'm gonna be ballsy. I may regret this, but I'm gonna be ballsy. Oh, ooh. Oh no! Oh, just ground pounded a wasp. Or was it a bee? I don't know. Yeah, there are times like this where it's like, hey, I want to get that power up because it'll give me more armor. But actually getting over there is a calculated risk. Ooh. Uh-oh. Ah! Ha ha! Probably the most controversial part of Volgarr is the whole... When you beat a... Okay, there's a world, right? Every world has 2 levels, and you can only use the checkpoint at the from the second level. If you quit the game, you have to replay the entire world. You can't continue from that checkpoint. Now, this is quite controversial, as is the whole idea of doing the boss rush, like in Dark Souls, where you have to replay a whole level in order to... This is a nice trick, by the way. If you're very patient, you can very easily get past this bit by just sitting still and letting your shield tank the damage. You think you can kill me with bullets? Go ahead. I take your fucking bullets. Now, it's true, I have mixed feelings about the whole level design thing, and in fact, they actually wrote an entire blog post, the developers. They did an FAQ in which they specifically, you know, answer this exact question of, like, why did you design it this way? And their answer is quite interesting. I just lost the blade helmet. Oh well. It's very much worth reading, and I'm inclined. I've been more inclined to agree lately that it is good design. You really get to know these levels in a very kind of intimate way. There are so many games which are just kind of you run through, you shoot everyone. Every level feels pretty much the same. Like I was playing Resistance 3 lately. And it's alright, it's a good alright shooter, but everywhere it pretty much just feels the same. But Volgarr, the levels feel distinct, and you get very intimately familiar with them, because you have to replay them potentially dozens of times. And that makes it so much more satisfying when you do beat them and beat the boss. But at the same time, I'll just quickly say this before I go to the boss, at the same time it would potentially be nice to have like an easy mode option, just in case you don't want to spend 20 hours beating 4 levels, you know? Personally, I think the easy mode is to hot swap. Do what I was doing yesterday and like hot swap with a friend. Try to beat the game collectively. I think that's the easy mode. Anyway, this is the boss. He's a bit intimidating, but actually pretty piss easy. All you gotta do is stab him in the face. Don't get greedy. Do not get greedy, because he can hit you with his club if you try and hang around too long. Okay. Oh. I might be able to do this without getting hit, he says, nearly getting hit. Oh. Now, the bosses, it's interesting, they don't have health bars, but actually they have quite limited health. None of these bosses take more than a minute to beat, from my experience. Yes! There we go! Oh ho ho ho! Predictable victory music. Actually, I really like when you beat a boss here. They really just show all the crazy special effects to reward you. Hang on. That's just fucking video games right there. That's video games. What just happened right there? Incidentally, have I not died yet? You know, I'm not even sure. I'm honestly not even sure. I might not have died this entire time. I've just gone into, like, autopilot. Sweet. I'm fairly sure I haven't died, so let's just keep going till I die now. Ominous words. Sweet. Yeah. This is a significantly harder world. World 2. God, I know this place so well. Fucking... I will say, you know, there's no story whatsoever, and, like, there's no coherent world building going on here. You know, Dark Souls will always have the advantage there in terms of, like, blistering, awesome action, but also interesting world building and surprisingly deep lore and stuff like that. There's none of that here. It's just like, hey, this is a £7 game. Let's shoot some zombies with spears. And, oh God, I died. Well, I guess that's Volgarr then. I didn't originally intend this to be a permadeath video, but after I just kept going for 15 minutes without dying, I thought, hey, permadeath. I'm fairly sure that's the first time I've died. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head. There you are. Volgarr the Viking. It's really good. I might actually write a review on my blog as well, just because I have the power to do that. I could just kill frogmen while I stand here. So yeah, it's a very cheap game, and it's extremely good if you like this sort of thing. I honestly think it's harder than Dark Souls, because, as I said, you cannot just kind of cheapen the game by getting better stats. You have to actually get good at the game, and there's no way around it. The biggest decider as to whether you'll like this game is whether you like that sort of real raw challenge. That feeling of like, oh god, I was so close, and then you finally beat him, and you're like, oh, I beat him. It's the same feeling I get from Stuntman on PS2. Oh, here we go again. Stuntman on PS2, which is just like this kind of challenge stunt racing game where you have to beat levels with such incredibly precise timing. Some of those levels have timers where it seems like you have to be within just 1 second margin of error in order to... You have no... If you have a major cock-up early on in the level, you might as well just start over because you'll never get there. It's that sort of thing, but I think the challenge of Volgarr is entirely fair. The only thing is maybe the whole checkpoint system. That is quite controversial, and it might be nice if they could add the option to not have to, you know, an easy mode where the game is exactly the same but the checkpoints are a bit more generous. That might have been a nice option, I think, but I don't think it's a game breaker. I'm having a lot of fun with Volgarr. It's easily worth £7. Just go get it. Get good and all that shit. Hey, I'm getting bored of killing toads. Let's just go to the badass menu. Yeah! Badass menu! Sweet. It always makes me think of Dr. Manhattan when he, like, warps in, like, his nervous system growing over his skeleton. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good! Yeah, it's a manly game for manly men or women, I suppose. Whatever. Manliness! All-inclusive manliness. This is what it's like. It's, hey, you want manliness regardless of gender? Here's some manliness! Volgarr the Viking. It's really good! Go get it. Or don't. But you should. It's really good. Manliness!